Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on the MetroNews Radio Network.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded.
We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
Holy smoke.
From the studios of the West Virginia Radio Corporation and the MetroNews Radio Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful radio show in West Virginia. This is MetroNews Talkline with Hoppy Kercheval.
Check set line up, link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Cue Hoppy.
You're on.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on the MetroNews Radio Network in and around the great state of West Virginia. In just a couple hours, the President of the United States will land in Charleston, West Virginia, and he will address the drug epidemic in this country, and he'll be at ground zero right here in West Virginia. Now, this is not a politically friendly environment for the president, but West Virginia is absolutely the appropriate venue to draw attention to the ravages of drug addiction. The numbers, when you look at them, are startling. I wrote about it today at WVMetroNews.com. Please welcome the Secretary of the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, Karen Bowling. Karen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good, Hoppy. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on. I know it's a busy day for you and has been for the last couple of days preparing for the president's visit. What, if anything, do you believe the president's visit will accomplish in this war on drugs in West Virginia?
Well, Hoppy, I firmly believe that, we have to highlight the issue of the drug epidemic across our country and in the state of West Virginia. And what I believe is this is an opportunity for us to have a conversation, federal officials, state officials, local leaders, because this problem doesn't get solved by one person or one entity. It gets solved by all of us working together. And so I believe that him coming to West Virginia gives us an opportunity to talk about, the challenges we face, but also some of the things that we've done in terms of West Virginia making changes that we believe are having an impact and will continue to have an impact, and other things that we need to do.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about some of the things that have been done and we need to do, but first I want to get to some of the hard numbers of the problem from your office. 628 drug overdose in the state last year, oxycodone, hydrocodone, heroin. Our prescription drug overdose death rate is the highest in the country, 31 people for 100,000 people. You're twice as likely to have, statistically speaking, twice as likely to have a drug overdose death in West Virginia than die in a traffic accident. So these numbers go on and on. And the words get tossed around like crisis, epidemic. From a health perspective, would you call this an epidemic?
I would. I mean, if you look at it, it should be, reviewed as a public health issue. I mean, I think addiction certainly is a problem in our state. It's a disease. And just like we would deal with heart disease or diabetes, we have to deal with addiction. And certainly you have to recognize that it's at a crisis level when you have the number of overdose deaths that we do. And, Hobby, just to point out, when you talk about all of those substances, many of our overdoses are polypharmacy.
Right.
They're not just one, it's not just talking about something as morphine or hydrocodone or oxycodone. We're talking about people with multiple substances in their system, and many of which in the past have been prescription drugs, illegal use of prescription drugs. Now we're seeing the heroin increase. But I think it's a problem of addiction, and we can't forget that. And we have to recognize it as a public health issue. It's not just a law enforcement issue. It really is something that we have to look at it from a health perspective, and that's our job.
Yeah, I agree completely. West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Secretary Karen Bowling is with us on the president's visit today on this substance abuse, particularly opioids. So what is being done in West Virginia that, in your opinion, is working or making some progress or stemming the tide at least a little?
Well, I think two things that I'd like to bring up in particular. One is that, several years ago, the governor put into law the safe prescribing practices, and we're ahead of the game here. I don't know if you've noticed, but, you're talking about only 8 or 9 states in the country that require for continuing education physicians and other types of healthcare providers to understand what safe prescribing practices are. You can't stem the abuse if we don't understand as providers how to prescribe safely. And so I actually believe that is making a big difference. The second thing I think is making a big difference is in that same piece of legislation the governor put forth, the regulation of pain clinics. And I want to tell you, Hoppy, I mean, that is an issue in our state. I
Sure.
mean, we've actually closed 11 pain clinics. So if we think about that logically, if you had that many people out there prescribing medication, pain medication, and inappropriately prescribing pain medication, certainly we were creating some of our own problems.
Yeah, and there's no question that the pain clinics, that there's been significant progress in dealing with the pain clinics, which were out of control. And if you look at the overdose deaths, and as you say, lots of times there's a combination of drugs, but oxycodone-related overdose deaths are beginning to trend downward a little bit. Hydrocodone deaths have leveled off a little bit. But, Karen, it's a bit of a whack-a-mole because, as you point out, heroin deaths are up significantly. We had just 34 reported in 2010. In 2012, it was 2013, it was 157. 2014, 165. 2015, this year, already 97. So, again, you have a little bit of squeeze the balloon there. And so you got to deal with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about, heroin is cheaper. Most of the time people start with an opioid type of substance first, though, so we still have to continue to remember that we can't let that drop off the radar screen. It always worries me. We talk a lot about heroin, and we need to, especially as it relates to the fact that heroin is administered through a needle most of the time. So, we had a sort of a secondary issue associated with that. But now it's getting harder to get prescription drugs.
Right.
If it's harder to get the prescription drugs, then people are going to move to something that's cheaper. But if you think about it, we're regulating the prescription drug industry to some degree. Now, from a law enforcement perspective, we have to crack down on heroin and the distribution of heroin, in my opinion.
Karen Bowling is with us, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Secretary, talking about the drug addiction issue in West Virginia with the president's visit today to focus on that. So, Karen, you also mentioned things we need to do. What are those things?
Well, I think that one thing that, we put in legislation, the governor and the legislature approved of the naloxone, and I do think that we've got to continue to educate the public about naloxone, how to use it, why it's so important. I think that's critical. I mean, we're talking about we've got to get it in the hands of first responders, of family members, but we have to also explain to people it's not about just using the naloxone, it's in getting people into treatment. I think also, Hoppy, that, we have to continue to focus on the treatment side and the recovery side. I mean, the state has put millions, absolutely millions of dollars into treatment and recovery. But, as we all know, the medication-assisted treatment, there's a shortage of providers. And I think that, as a nation, not the state of West Virginia, we've got to address that issue. And then lastly, I think that we have to continue to work on prevention. I mean, we haven't talked a lot about that. And I think that it's critical. I mean, we have a good relationship with the, state school system, but we have got to make sure that our prevention specialists are getting to our children, because that's where it needs to happen. They need to never start. And, we fund programs for prevention specialists in all parts of the state of West Virginia, and I think there needs to be a greater emphasis on prevention. Yeah,
you touched a lot there. I mean, naloxone, for those who don't know, is a drug that is now that first responders in West Virginia have access to. So if somebody ODs, they can inject them with naloxone. And it abates the effect of the opioid. So that is now becoming available in West Virginia. Then on the bed issue, so let me go to the treatment. Do we have enough beds, or what is the shortage of beds in West Virginia?
We have made significant progress over the course of the years by the funding that we've put in through the governor and the legislature to get additional treatment and recovery beds, but there's not enough. I mean, there's not enough across the entire country. We also need not just recovery beds or treatment beds, we also need the ability to treat people in outpatient settings. And so I think, as we continue to expand our efforts, I mean, the governor, he's a visionary on this subject. I mean, he firmly believes that, and has for many years, and has done so many things to really be forward thinking about, combating this. And we use all of our department resources to work toward trying to help. But it's happening so fast, Hoppy. We just have to keep up, and we have to keep focusing our attention on it, and I believe that we will. I mean, addiction affects all of our families and our children and our communities, and the governor making it a priority certainly is important, and now the president's here to say the same thing.
Yeah, and the governor knows firsthand his own brother got in trouble with drugs, so he knows firsthand. Karen Bowling, who's the Secretary of the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources. Karen, we appreciate you coming on today, and let's not just make this a one-day story. Let's stay in touch on this and
Absolutely.
and keep talking about it, okay? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Hoppy.
All right, we'll take a break and be back. More about the president's visit coming up. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is going to join us. Of course, there's other angles to this. We're going to get into that as well, but coming up, an update on the Blankenship trial.
Wait, this can't be right. If you bank with MVB, they pay you to use your debit card? Who approved this?
That's right. With MVB's Checking with Cash Back, we pay you to use your debit card. What's more, we give you 2% cash back on purchases when qualifications are met. Open an account online today at mvbbanking.com or visit one of our convenient local branches. MVB, your financial life made easy. Member FDIC.
The West Virginia Mountaineers return to action Thursday night, October 29th in Texas. Join the MetroNews Game Day crew as they cover WVU's primetime matchup with the TCU Horned Frogs. Pre-game coverage starts at 4:30 with the Jeep Golden Blue Countdown, followed by the Sports Brunch. Game line kicks off at 7:30. At 10:30, post-game analysis begins on the Golden Blue Wrap-Up, presented by the West Virginia Oil and Natural Gas Association, followed by the Point After. Don't miss game day coverage at its best here on MetroNews.
Would you go to a dentist for joint replacement surgery?
No.
Would you go to the barber shop to get your prescription filled?
Goodness, no.
Would you ask your preacher for advice on how to fix your toilet?
Of course not.
Then why would you trust some guy down the street who gives you the cheapest bid to remodel, repair, or even build your home? You need a licensed professional contractor who knows what they're doing. It's your home. You have to live there. Why settle for anything less than the best?
Your dreams built by the best. Contact the Home Builders Association of West Virginia for a list of professionals in your area. Go to hbawv.org today. This message brought to you by our marketing partners, Lowe's of North Central West Virginia, Brick Street, 84 Lumber, Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, ProBuild, SJ Neathawk, Valcon, Windcor, and West Virginia Housing Development Fund. Your dreams built by the best. The Home Builders Association of West Virginia. Go to hbawv.org today.
This is Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
When we made the Jeep Cherokee, we didn't stop at a stunning interior, or at advanced technologies, or stop at that gas station, or from going over bumps, or rocks, or through rivers. Let's just say we couldn't stop ourselves. One drive and you'll discover why the Jeep brand continues to be the best-selling SUV brand. Join us now during the Jeep Drive and Discover event.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest, because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's a lot easier when you have it on before you get pulled over. Click it or ticket.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Coal miners, the coal industry, going to rally at 11 o'clock today in opposition to the president's policies prior to the president's arrival today, talk about drugs. We're going to get to that in just a couple minutes and more on the president's visit. But first up in this segment, the Don Blankenship trial. Actually, they're not in testimony this morning. Judge has some other issues. They'll get back to testimony this afternoon. I think 1:30 is the time. But yesterday, Stanley Goose Stewart, a former continuous miner operator at UBB, gave emotional testimony. He began to cry when asked by U.S. Attorney Booth Goodwin why he testified before a congressional committee in the months following UBB, where 29 miners died. Quoting Stewart, "I felt like the truth needed to be told." Stewart said, fighting back tears. "Hardly nobody would talk, even after the explosion. I said, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to tell the truth." So a long time on the stand yesterday for Goose Stewart. Tom Payton, who is one of our legal advisors on the Blankenship case, joins us. He was there yesterday. Tom, good morning to you. What was the significance from the federal government's perspective of Goose Stewart's testimony? What did they accomplish, if anything, yesterday with him?
Well, good morning, Hoppy. Of course, his direct examination continued with the mantra of production over safety and, backing that up with specific safety violations within the mine, which is just kind of reiterating what some of the other miners have testified to. Goose Stewart is a much more outspoken person than maybe some of the other miners that have been called. And on cross-examination, I actually felt watching it, he maybe had a little animus towards the Blankenship side. I wouldn't say he was hostile necessarily, but, for example, when questions were asked, leading questions that could have a yes or no answer, he would go ahead and volunteer additional information he obviously thought would be helpful to the U.S. Attorney's side. And therefore, the defense was kind of portraying him as somebody that has a motive and to testify in this case, as opposed to simply telling the truth. And they did that in a number of ways by trying to prove an ulterior motive. One, they went back a history of when he had met Blankenship before, which was during a UMWA election to determine whether one of the mines Blankenship ran would become unionized or not, and tried to portray Goose Stewart as a pro-union person, and then followed up with that by insinuating or asking him directly with leading questions that he was asked to go testify before Congress regarding the UBB explosion by the UMWA. And Goose Stewart gave kind of a ambiguous response to that. They also apparently, his testimony started before lunch and continued after lunch, and apparently somebody had seen him speaking with maybe a producer or something from the 60 Minutes program.
Really?
And so they crossed and asked him about that, insinuating maybe one of his motives is media attention, which is why he's being so outspoken.
So what happened? So when he got, but then when the state went back and talked to him, then they went to this congressional testimony. And why was that? If it was significant, why was it significant?
Well, the defense, when they cross-examined him about, I'm not sure in direct the testimony before Congress was ever brought up. I don't think it was, but the defense opened the door by asking him about that, and so then that led when Booth Goodwin was doing the questioning and did a good job. Allowed Booth Goodwin, it opened the door to let him ask, why did you go testify before Congress? I'm not sure he could have asked that if the defense wouldn't have brought it up, and that's when Goose Stewart really began to cry, and he responded, but his response was broken because it was emotional. He was actually in tears, and for the first time in the trial, essentially, said he wanted to break what he called the code of silence in regard to safety violations and tell why this explosion happened, essentially doing a cause and effect testimony in regard to safety violations versus the explosion that killed all of these miners.
So that opened the door for him to to say that he told Congress he wanted to tell the truth. He wanted to go to Congress and tell them about the safety violations that led to UBB, not beforehand, so that led to UBB. So did that give extra weight? How much did that help the federal government's case, in your opinion?
Well, I think it helps them tremendously. I mean, it's one of those intangibles, It's not directly related. There had been motions filed to keep, the cause of the explosion out of the trial, and I don't think that had been, testified to yet. Now it has, and keep in mind this redirect testimony was also on top of criticism of Goose Stewart for why he didn't tell MSHA inspectors about all these safety violations he testified to. I mean, there's a federal law that protects him, a whistleblower type law, and basically his testimony was, essentially, the way I got it, these jobs are so sacred that even though it might be an anonymous tip to an MSHA inspector, they're always in fear that it will get back to the company, and then they'll lose their job. In fact, he testified on his cross that one of the MSHA inspectors told him that he knew of the culture of silence, and that if the inspector was near the mine and one of the miners knew there was a problem, to kind of nonchalantly go by the inspector and sort of mutter the area of the mine there was a problem, and the inspector would go to that section.
So Tom, how powerful are and you don't know till the jury takes it up, but how powerful are these things like phrases like culture of silence and to tell the truth and get the truth out? And you hear all this testimony, some of it may run together after a while, but are there key things that you think that are standing out in the federal government's case here like that? Well, those are kind of the, intangibles that I think you don't know what jurors are thinking. A lot of this, like yesterday afternoon, it was a MSHA inspector, and it was a bit mundane. I mean, to me, listening, it wasn't as exciting. It wasn't as compelling. Wasn't as compelling
as some of the other testimony, because jurors are sitting there for a long time.
Yeah.
They seem to be paying attention and taking notes. I saw a few yawns, but they're all awake and paying attention. So, the intangible things about culture of silence, cause and effect between production over safety, causing the death of all these miners, are the things that jurors will remember. Let's go, Tom, and Tom Payton's with us, who's helping us follow the Blankenship trial. Let's go to the testimony, another federal witness, of Sean Ellison, a former shuttle car operator and roof bolter at UBB. He, again, was another miner talking about safety conditions at the mine. He talked about the dust pump monitor that's supposed to stay with him. Ellison testified it was often hung at the intake in fresh air while he worked in the dust at the mine face. Under instructions from his supervisors, he said. He would also place the dust pump under his bib, providing what was not a true air reading. He was asked, was there a difference between what Massey said about safety and what was done? Yes, he answered. There wasn't enough ventilation at UBB, and they knew that. The pressure was always on to produce. Again, the same theme, but significant? Well, yeah, and this guy, as opposed to Goose Stewart, who was more outspoken and seemed to have a little animosity towards the defense side, this fella, he seemed to me to be a credible person. He was nervous. He seemed to be believable. And these dust pumps, they record the coal dust in the air and the condition of the air. And so he said, he was told by management, not Don Blankenship, they haven't gotten to that yet. But by management, to hide the intake of the dust pump underneath his bib so it would pick up clean air, instead of keeping them on your body, hang them near an intake so it would record good air. We're really just willful violations as directed from the supervisory level. Do you think, Tom, that so far, and again, they got to close the circle on Blankenship, do you believe that so far the federal government has been able to establish that supervisors repeatedly directed miners there to violate standard safety procedure? Yes. There's no question. I think, 15 seconds. Keep in mind, the defense hasn't had a chance to present their case yet, but cross-examination, while it may prove somewhat helpful, it certainly hasn't rebutted the evidence from these miners who are saying they're being instructed specifically. There's nothing, for example. Hey, Tom, I gotta leave it there, but I know you'll be at testimony this afternoon. We'll check with you tomorrow morning. This is Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. 10:30, let's get a news update. Check in with the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening statewide this hour, all across the great state of West Virginia.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Shauna Johnson. West Virginia will be in the national spotlight today when President Barack Obama travels to Charleston to talk about new efforts to address opioid addiction across the United States. West Virginia University Vice President and Executive Dean of Health Sciences, Dr. Claymore, says the drug problems are real.
The leading cause of death of individuals under 45 years old are injuries and accidents. In almost every other state other than West Virginia and Ohio, the cause of death under 45 is car accidents. In Ohio and in West Virginia, it's drug overdoses.
Live Metro News coverage of the presidential visit begins at 1:30 this afternoon on the Metro News Radio Network. Fayette County is now suing the State School Building Authority because of the rejection of its school consolidation plan.
On the same day that Mountain State Justice officially filed the lawsuit in Kanawha County Circuit Court on behalf of the Fayette County Commission and other individual petitioners, Senator Jeff Kessler toured 8 schools in the county. The candidate for the Democratic Party's gubernatorial nomination said he needed to see for himself exactly what students in Fayette County are dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
At least 2 of the schools I've seen that are absolutely unfit for human habitation, let alone for education.
That's Alex Wiederspiel reporting. And Morgantown City fire marshals now have the authority to make arrests and serve warrants for violations of the fire code. You're listening to Metro News for 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Keep up with what's happening in our state at WVMetroNews.com. Whether it's breaking news or the latest political development, high school sports coverage, insights on the Mountaineers or the Thundering Herd, hunting and fishing news, or just the latest weather conditions, your source is WVMetroNews.com. Listen to podcasts of Talkline and Sportsline, or watch video streams of your favorite Metro News programs. You'll find all that and more with one free click at WVMetroNews.com. Metro News is the voice of West Virginia.
It's getting harder to make ends meet, and when you can't keep food on the table, it's pretty devastating. There is assistance, but applications can be confusing. Catholic Charities West Virginia is making it easier by helping families learn about and enroll in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, so they can get the healthy foods they need. Call 844-292-3217 to learn more, because if one person is going hungry, that's one too many. Catholic Charities West Virginia is an equal opportunity employer and service provider, funded in part by USDA and the Walmart Foundation.
A representative with the West Virginia Farm Bureau says the state can save money by operating more efficiently.
Because I think that is going to be the answer in the end, is we've got more government than we can afford. So we hope that through this process we can decrease the size of government.
Charles Wilfong spoke at Tuesday's public hearing in front of the legislature's Joint Select Committee on Tax Reform. Many people there spoke in favor of an increase to the state's tobacco tax. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Shauna Johnson.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Coming up in about 12, 13 minutes, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Jeff Kessler. He went to Fayette County schools yesterday. They got a real problem there. We're going to dig into. We've talked about it before. We'll dig into it again this morning. Also coming up in a little over 1 hour, West Virginia native, West Virginian, American hero. He is indeed Woody Williams, Medal of Honor winner. And they're naming a ship after Woody Williams, which is fantastic. We're going to talk with Woody in a little over 1 hour. So the president's due here early this afternoon to talk about drug addiction. But as you might imagine, when the president comes to West Virginia, there are going to be folks who have an opposing view concerning his policies on the climate and on carbon-based energies such as coal. And in fact, coming up in about 25 minutes, there's going to be a rally on the Capitol grounds by supporters of the coal industry. Bill Rainey is president of the West Virginia Coal Association, Friends of Coal. He joins us on Metro News Talkline from the scene. Bill, good morning. Thanks for joining us. What point do you all want to make today?
Well, good morning, Hoppy. Well, the point is that the president's coming. Certainly we didn't invite him, but nevertheless he's coming, and we appreciate him coming. I hope it does some good with the drug abuse. But the idea is that he needs to pay attention to what his policies, his people's policies, have done to our industry and to our coal miners across West Virginia. If he doesn't pay attention to that and understand that the uncertainty, the unemployment, and the fact that driven them out of jobs, we've got 8,000 fewer coal miners today than we did 3 years ago, and multiple thousands of support jobs. And that uncertainty, we think, drives those folks to substance abuse and hope and trying to find confidence. And it's false confidence, of course. But, it's very hypocritical to come and act as though you're going to solve a problem and not address a problem that literally has been created by this administration.
All right, let me chew on some of this here. But so are you directly relating the substance abuse problem in West Virginia to the president's policies on climate? Because, Bill, you've been around a long time, as have I. And the substance abuse problem existed in parts of southern West Virginia long before, and other parts of West Virginia, long before the president's climate policies. That's fair to say, certainly.
It is. And I don't think 100%. Absolutely not. You can't put 100% up, but I think it contributes to it, Hoppy. It clearly does. And, you know, the uncertainty, the fact that we've got 8,000 guys out of work and gals. And, you know, when you're out of work and you just got that uncertain feeling about it and you start looking for places to find confidence and hope. And we hope that they would find their hope with their faith and with a job. But no, it's not 100%, but I think it has clearly contributed to it, and there needs to be a recognition of that by this administration.
Bill Rainey is with us, president of West Virginia Coal Association. How bad is it in the coal fields right now in West Virginia concerning production, employment, optimism, pessimism, et cetera?
It's bad, Hoppy. It's bad. It's very bad. When you drop south of Route 60, or let's say south of Charleston, it's very bad. And, you know, we've got some counties that for the first time in decades, do not have an operating coal mine in their county. I think Eugene testified earlier in the week that we've got 70 operating coal mines today in West Virginia. And 2 years ago, we had 200. So it's tough. And you can see it with the state budget. I mean, you can see all the publication or the publicity that's coming as a result of that, of counties having to lay off people. So it's bad, and we're trying to get back on track here. But, you know, we need the help. The federal government needs to take their foot off our throat and quit shutting power plants down and start loosening up a little bit.
And I've said this many times on this program, that the coal industry in West Virginia faces a number of challenges. One is, you know, the seams get smaller, the coal isn't as plentiful as it once was, but we still have a lot of coal. Number two is that market conditions is a significant force right now, and the prices are depressed. Prices depressed for all energy commodities. But the third thing are the policies of the president on climate change. But you would concede, Bill, that those other things I just mentioned are major factors in the struggles faced by the coal industry right now.
Oh, clearly. Absolutely they are. And there's no question about it. I mean, it's a perfect storm. It's probably a double perfect storm for our industry. But I truly believe, and as we testified and talked with the Tax Reform Committee yesterday, that the quickest route for recovery for West Virginia is through our industry and through the oil and gas industry. We have a ready workforce. We know where our resources are. We've got to have some help with competition to be sure that we can play in this diminishing market that we have. So that, you know, we truly believe that we need to be drawn upon, and we're happy to step up. We just got to have a market which is being taken away from us, of course.
You know, it's not just coal miners, because there are a lot of suppliers and a lot of connected industries to coal and gas and these other carbon-based energies. For example, I saw a story today out of Corbin, Kentucky. About 180 CSX employees are being furloughed or relocated because the company closed the Corbin rail shop there, and that is attributed to the slowdown in coal.
Right. That's exactly right. I mean, it reaches deep, deep, deep into the fabric of West Virginia. There's no question about it. East Kentucky is just exactly like southern West Virginia. So, as a matter of fact, things may be a little bit worse in eastern Kentucky than they are in southern West Virginia at this point.
All right. So, who's going to make significant points today, and what will? I mean, the other side of this, Bill, is, and I understand. And I said earlier this week or last week, I said that it would be completely appropriate for those who object to the president's policies to have a peaceful demonstration, which I assume yours will be today. At the same time, if the president hasn't changed his policies now, he's not going to change it. But you can at least, I guess, vent today. I guess.
Well, that's exactly right. You always hope that, you know, when you treading on such hypocrisy, that it'll suddenly dawn on them. But I don't know that there's any great confidence there's going to be a big change of that. But it's very peaceful. We got a couple hundred people around the miner statue here on the Capitol grounds, and everybody's trying to reach for a little bit of sunshine because it's chilly in the shade. But everybody's in a good mood this morning with the spring weather. But I'm telling you, when you get into cold country today, it's a sad situation, and much of that has been brought about by federal policies.
Bill Rainey, president, West Virginia Coal Association. Their rally begins at 11 o'clock this morning in and around that coal statue on the Capitol grounds. Bill, thank you for coming on.
Hey, Copy, let me say, too,
go ahead.
If you got a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
We appreciate Senator Shelley Moore Capito is here, as is Senate President Bill Cole and the House Speaker. and a number of House of Delegates, Randy Smith and Rupi Phillips. So there's a lot of public support here from the officials around West Virginia who are looking at the budget inside and out and understanding the distress that it's experiencing right now.
Got it. Okay, Bill, thank you very much.
Thank you, Hop.
All right. So, again, that's completely appropriate and understandable. And there is an acknowledgement by Rainey, as there should be, that clearly market conditions, as we've said over and over and over again, market conditions and other factors have contributed significantly to the problems facing the coal industry. But the only thing I would say is, again, for those of you who really want to see the coal industry diminished, just acknowledge. I mean, I absolutely acknowledge the impact of market conditions. I think if you want to see the industry decline, then you should acknowledge the policies of this administration that contribute significantly to that. I mean, what utility planning for the future would say we'll have a coal-burning power plant when it's impossible to build a coal-burning power plant because you can't meet the new EPA regulations? And the answer is none. Or what major financial institution would loan money? Would loan money to a coal company? A little bit risky right now. So there are the policies of this administration have contributed to the decline of the coal industry, which is having a dramatic effect on West Virginia. The recent decision by the governor to cut back state spending by 4%, public education by 1%, is linked directly to the decline in severance taxes. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Literary superstars. This year's West Virginia Book Festival, this Friday and Saturday, features some of the world's most renowned writers, including Jodi Picoult, author of My Sister's Keeper, Neil Gaiman, one of the most celebrated writers of our time, Gods and Generals author Jeff Shera, Caldecott Newberry, and Coretta Scott King Award winner Jacqueline Woodson, and Rocket Boy Homer Hickam. All events are free. Go to wvbookfestival.org for details.
Trading in your business fleet or personal vehicle for a new one? Donate your used vehicle to Good News Mountaineer Garage and get the best tax deduction possible and the satisfaction of knowing your donation changed the life of someone in need. Good News Mountaineer Garage repairs donated vehicles and provides them to qualified West Virginia families, giving them access to employment, safe, affordable housing, healthcare, and other vital necessities, and putting them on the road to economic independence. Call 1-866-GIVE-CAR today for Good News Mountaineer Garage. 866-GIVE-CAR.
Imagine a scale and you're trying to balance it. Too much on one side and it sinks, just like our state's economy. When jobs are centered on one or two industries, the balance is off, our economy sinks, and good-paying jobs disappear. West Virginia needs a variety of industries, including fossil fuels, small business, and high-tech jobs to bring balance. The High Technology Foundation works to bring those high-tech jobs here. Ask your legislator if they're helping the High Technology Foundation bring balance to our economy. From the West Virginia High Technology Foundation.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
When we made the Jeep Cherokee, we didn't stop at a stunning interior, or at advanced technologies, or stop at that gas station, or from going over bumps, or rocks, or through rivers. Let's just say we couldn't stop ourselves. One drive and you'll discover why the Jeep brand continues to be the best-selling SUV brand. Join us now during the Jeep Drive and Discover event.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest, because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's a lot easier when you have it on before you get pulled over. Click it or ticket.
Value.com.
Talkline on Metro News coming up at 11:06. I'm going to open up to you at 1-800-765-8255. Or email me, talkline@wvmetronews.com. Text me 304, talk 304. Tweet me at Hoppy Kercheval. If you could say one thing to the president today, what would it say? Keep it respectful. Keep it on the up and up. If you could say one thing to the president today, during his visit to West Virginia, what would it be? 1-800-765-8255. Email talkline@wvmetronews.com. Tweet me at Hoppy Kercheval. Text me 304, talk 304. I'll do that at 06. One thing you could say to the president today. Fayette County schools, folks, in deep trouble. They've been struggling there for years. They can't pass a bond issue. The community is divided over what the school reorganization should look like. There's a lot of hostility and animosity there among the communities about how to go about fixing the schools. Do you fix existing schools? Do you close schools and consolidate them? Recently, they thought they had a new idea. They went to the School Building Authority and said, if you'll give us, I think the number was like $39 million, we'll come up with some money and we'll try to build some schools and fix some schools. School Building Authority rejected that. Now there's a lawsuit being filed against the School Building Authority. So on and on it goes. Senator Jeff Kessler, the Senate Minority Leader, Democrat from Marshall County, is running for governor, and he was there yesterday, and he went to a number of those schools. He joins us on Metro News Talkline. Senator, good morning. Thanks for joining us. What did you see yesterday at the schools you visited?
Deplorable conditions, Hoppy, in many of these schools that these schools aren't even fit for habitation, let alone education. There are schools where the walls are buckling literally. When I'm not Superman, but when I can go up to the side of a brick building and pull the bricks out with my bare hands because it's buckled, that's inexcusable. When you get out and you see water damage and mold growing, and you see a 1940 coal-fired furnace in a place where they're shoveling the coal in it to keep the place warm, and it can't get above 57 degrees. Because the pipes that feed the steam boiler are so corroded and old, it's just not suitable for educating our kids, and
Senator,
we need to do better.
And we'll talk about that. Senator, is that a particular school, or is that? And I know you went to a number of school yesterday. I think you went to Collins Middle School, Oak Hill High School, Fayetteville High School, Fayetteville Elementary, Anstead Middle, Anstead Elementary. So you went to about a half dozen schools. Was that the common theme, or was that isolated?
No, there were several. The Collins Middle School has obviously been condemned. I mean, it's been condemned and is not suitable for use. They've moved students, some of the students over into the high school, where I think the 5th and 6th graders moved over to the high school area, the 4 and 5 over into another area. But it's not suitable for kids that are 5 and 6, 6th graders to be in a high school setting. They need a school, and the thing is, that one was bad. The Anstead schools were bad as well, and the Mount Hope school particularly was bad. The elementary, it was in really dilapidated condition, and even the Meadow Bridge up on the 2nd floor of their Meadow Bridge High School, they've closed it down. So I mean, there's so many schools that are in deplorable condition that they need to come up with a plan to fix them. And what I guess is frustrating is, the Fayette County schools were taken over by the state 5 years ago.
Right.
So it's not the local school system handling them anymore. It's the state school board. And they have voted, I think 6-3 or something a couple of weeks ago, to amend their plan for, reconsolidation, not some limited consolidation, but also some readjustment and creation of a new high school, and also some venues of some of the more adequate facilities with some upgrades to move some of the kids into the middle schools and into some of the high school settings that are available. And so they're moving the kids around into some of the better facilities and building new high schools to serve them all. And there's a question whether or not Meadow Bridge should stay or stand alone, and that's maybe more of a local decision. But the bottom line, you have the state school board saying this is a plan that we approve, we stand behind, the superintendent's behind it, the school president, state board president, they submit it to the SBA and they dismiss it out of hand. You got two executive agencies charged with education responsibility for public education, and they can't agree what to do.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Senator. Yeah, because that's an issue, and it gets a little bit down in the bureaucratic weeds here, but what the State Board of Education did say, which has taken control of the system for the last several years, said, okay, here's the plan, we can do this, and it goes to the School Building Authority, and the School Building Authority, which allocates the money, says no, that if you want our money, you're going to have to pass a bond issue, and rejects it outright. Now there's a lawsuit filed against the School Building Authority. So I don't know how, Senator, you sort all that out, because I think to the kids and the parents of Fayette County, she's like, just help us fix this thing. You know?
Well, two things. Number one, statutorily under the law, it requires that schools that have been taken over by the state school board for operation, which is the case in this instance, unquestionably, are to be given priority consideration with funding. And I guess what was frustrating is that the School Building Authority dismissed their amendment out of hand without even a thoughtful review of it. And also, it would lead people to believe they want their $53 million in one lump sum, gobble all the money up out of the School Building Authority this year, and without any local match. And from my information and what I understand, it's to be implemented over a 3-year period, not all at once, and also with a local match of, I think, $11 million to $17 million based upon some lease purchase arrangements they would do, which would fund about $700,000 a year that would pay the bonds for 15 years. So there is going to be a local match involved. And for folks to say nope without passing, while it may not be a levy, it is still a local match, and that's what the law requires.
So you believe that the State Board of Education's plan is at least correct or heading in the right direction, and you believe the School Building Authority was wrong?
Yes, I do. I think the state building authority has a duty to, allocate the money under the law, and particularly if it's to be given priorities for those systems that are taken over, they need to give it at least consideration. And I would hope that the governor, since he appoints both these boards, would get them in the room and say, guys, find a solution. This public squabbling is not doing any good. Those kids over there, Hoppy, that I went over and looked and saw many of them, and they're our kids. They're our future, and quite frankly, it's frustrating when you see that we're not committed to providing them the ability that we're constitutionally required to give them a thorough and efficient education.
Well, that's a great point, because, and I know the School Building Authority has been sued now over this, but you're right. I mean, could anyone claim, in some of those instances, rightfully claim that a thorough and efficient education is required by the Constitution is being provided when the building's falling apart?
No, I think not from what I saw. And quite frankly, it's frustrating because, at the end of the day, even if they approved it tomorrow, it would take anywhere between 3 to 4 years to build these schools. You're going to have kids graduate from elementary school to middle school, or middle school to high school, or out of high school without having an opportunity to learn in a fit environment. The teachers are working, doing the best they can. They're doing a great job, but they're holding it together truthfully, with duct tape and super glue in many instances over there.
Yeah.
And when you see overcrowded facilities, and some of them at 110% capacity, when you walk into a gymnasium, they got 4 classes going on at the same time. One of them is band, for goodness sakes, and they're playing the band. The kids are great, but how can you learn math and science when banging drums within in the same locale?
It's a great point. Senator Jeff Kessler, also Democratic gubernatorial candidate, he was there in Fayette County yesterday. A lot of attention starting to be focused on Fayette County because something's got to be fixed there. Senator, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Okay, Hop.
All right, take care. Yeah, it's not good. There's some pictures posted, by the way, at WVMetroNews.com.
The Jeep Celebration event at Northside in Summersville is underway. Never a better selection. Over 200 Jeeps available. The 2015s are leaving quick. The 2016s coming in just as quick. This is a great opportunity for you to save big. Get a 2016 Jeep Cherokee Sport with the Sport Package and Cold Weather Group. Save over $3,000. It was $2,825, now $24,990. Here at Northside Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Truck. Visit us online at northsidewv.com. Don't delay. Buy a Jeep today.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi with a question. What can a video do for you? Well, if you're in business or part of an organization, let me tell you what videos have done for our clients at Pikewood Creative. Our commercials have generated millions of dollars in new business. Our long-form videos have helped capital campaigns raise tens of millions of dollars. That's what a video can do for you. If you have a need, then visit us at pikewoodcreative.com. That's Pikewood Creative.
The West Virginia Book Festival is coming to the Charleston Civic Center this Friday and Saturday. Get ready for a weekend of amazing authors, workshops, lectures, and of course, the popular used book sale. Friday's events feature writing and self-publishing workshops and world-renowned author of the Sandman series and American Gods, Neil Gaiman. The huge used book sale rolls out Saturday at 8 a.m. sharp, followed by the marketplace, costume parade, and more authors. Go to wvbookfestival.org for details on the West Virginia Book Festival.
This is Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
When we made the Jeep Cherokee, we didn't stop at a stunning interior, or at advanced technologies, or stop at that gas station, or from going over bumps, or rocks, or through rivers. Let's just say we couldn't stop ourselves. One drive and you'll discover why the Jeep brand continues to be the best-selling SUV brand. Join us now during the Jeep Drive and Discover event.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's a lot easier when you have it on before you get pulled over. Click it or ticket.
Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Did Kessler say that at one of the schools, the gym has been divided into four classes, and one of them is banned? Maybe I should shut up about test scores and try to help those folks there get it sorted out. I mean, that's unacceptable. You know, again, the state constitution requires a thorough and efficient education. It's not open for discussion. Well, I guess you could define it, but okay. All right, we're going to come back. If you could say one thing to the president today, what would it be? That's next. This is Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Talkline on the Metro News Radio Network in and around the great state of West Virginia. Hoppy Kercheval with you. Our phone number is 1-800-765-8255, 1-800-765-TALK. Email me, talkline@wvmetronews.com. Tweet me at Hoppy Kercheval. Text me 304-TALK-304. So, just for this segment, if you had a chance to say one thing to the president today, what would it be? Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll talk with Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who is in Charleston today for the president's visit. Right now, she's with the coal folks. They're outside the Capitol. Mike Pushkin, House of Delegates member, says, I hope I can tell the president that Big Pharma helped us into this mess. I don't think we can prescribe our way out. That's from Mike Pushkin, House of Delegates member from Kanawha County. So, Dave in Morgantown, what would you tell the president today if you could tell him one thing?
Hey, Hoppy, I tell the president that the solution to the pain and opiate problem actually lies in pain research. We've got to find better treatments for these folks who do have pain so we don't create the next generation of people who are addicted to these medicines.
Got it. He says research would be the answer. Let's go to Clay. Clay, what would you tell the president?
Good morning, Hoppy. I would thank the president for doing what I think has been a pretty good job against an obstructionist opposition during his tenure. I would also thank him for being at the helm when the prices of gasoline have now dropped to a reasonable price so that people who are working for a living can afford to put gasoline in their car. And I would also say that you do have to understand that we are a state that is based on a lot of our industry is coal related, and we need some sort of hand to help us through this, as opposed to just screaming and hollering about what he's doing wrong. Maybe we should try to ask him to help us get through this, as opposed to telling him that he's doing everything wrong. Thank you.
Okay. Well, since I'm doing kind of a little open phone here, I'm not... Well, okay. Okay, 1-800-765-8255, 1-800-765-TALK. Email talkline@wvmetronews.com. If you could tell the president one thing today or have one point you would like to make, what would that be? You can also tweet it at Hoppy Kercheval. Text me at 304-TALK-304. WA says, waiting for Hoppy Kercheval's spin. Kessler hates coal, wants kids to be cold. Chris, they did say they have a coal-fired stove there. Chris in Charleston, what would you say to the president today?
Hey, well, first of all, Hoppy, I want to thank you for what a great job you do.
Well, thank you.
As a journalist. I mean, it's a show that I and other guys I know that own businesses make a point to listen to every week. And when I hear people criticize you, it bothers me, to be honest.
That's all right. I appreciate that.
And your career in this state is absolutely second to none.
Well, you're very kind.
You make people be accountable. You bring both sides of the issue, and it's incredibly informative. The one thing I try not to miss every day.
I think that it sounds like there's a but. Is there a but coming or a however or anything like that?
No, it's just the truth.
Oh, well, you're very kind.
If we could fix the West Virginia situation, it'd be perfect. So how about that?
I'm just a humble talk show host. That's all. That's all. What would you say the president? What would you say the president today?
If I was to talk to the president, I hate to say it, I'd look at him and I'd say, can you leave us alone? You know, can you just give us a little space? I mean, before he got in office, this state was doing very well. I have a lot of friends in the coal industry, and we were really on the verge of, balanced budgets, surpluses, really, I think, getting ready to go and take off. And then he kind of abruptly pulled the plug on us. I would just say, my question would be, what can we do? What can you do to help industry in West Virginia? I mean, he's done enough to destroy it. I'd like to see what he could do to help it.
Chris, thanks for the call. Thanks for the comments. It's very kind of you. I would say two things, even though I said one thing. I would say, Mr. President, welcome to West Virginia. I know you've seen the polls. I know you've seen what the election results are, but as far as I'm concerned, you are always welcome in the Mountain State. So thank you for coming and addressing this serious problem that we have with substance abuse. So welcome to West Virginia. We hope you enjoy your visit here. But I must tell you, Mr. President, that the policies of your administration and the Environmental Protection Agency are making it extremely difficult on the working people of our state. The people that you say that you want to help, the people that you say you're looking out for, these are the very people that your policies are hurting. Now, that's not the only reason. There are other things happening with the coal industry, other things happening with the carbon industry. But by your own EPA's admission, the climate policies that are being put into effect will not have any impact on the temperature of the earth. They're not going to do anything by the EPA's own admission. Yet these policies are making it impossible for this state to run its number one business. And because of that, a lot of people are suffering. So, Mr. President, if coal was going out of business, then let it go out of business. Let it go out of business because of market conditions, because of the competition from natural gas and other forms of energy. But please, stop what you're doing to help coal go out of business. That was more than one thing, and I would have been escorted away long before that. We'll be back. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is coming up next.
Thursday nights on MetroNews, it's Mountain East Conference football. This Thursday, the Notre Dame Falcons visit the West Liberty Hilltoppers, and MetroNews brings you all the action. Join Travis Jones and Rasheed Marshall for the call of the game starting at 7 p.m. Don't miss Division II football at its best as the Falcons take on the Hilltoppers on Mountain East Conference Thursday Night Football from MetroNews and WVMetroNews.com.
There it is! There it is! Go!
Staying independent to serve you better. PAIS Independent Service Coordination helps families of persons with intellectual or developmental disabilities find the right services to help them reach their dreams and goals. Since they're independent of any service providers, PAIS will help you coordinate the resources that best meet your needs, and your loved one will receive the care they deserve. Go to PAISWV.com to learn more. PAIS Independent Service Coordination, helping people help themselves.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
This is a guided meditation on...
When we made the Jeep Cherokee, we didn't stop at a stunning interior, or at advanced technologies, or stop at that gas station, or from going over bumps, or rocks, or through rivers. Let's just say we couldn't stop ourselves. One drive and you'll discover why the Jeep brand continues to be the best-selling SUV brand. Join us now during the Jeep Drive and Discover event.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's a lot easier when you have it on before you get pulled over. Click it or ticket.
Talkline on MetroNews. Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. Well, I have to say this, and as soon as I say it, many of you are going to say, well, this is a partisan attack. It really isn't. This, I believe, to be an objective, completely reinforceable statement. The president, this administration, has absolutely nothing to do with the decline in gasoline prices. Zero. How could you, with an administration that is essentially anti-carbon, put money into alternative fuels, make it more difficult to hydraulic fracture. How could it have anything to do with the drop in gasoline prices? It is technically impossible. Okay, I got that off my chest. Please welcome U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who's at the coal rally outside the Capitol, the state Capitol. Senator, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I have a bit of a cold, but I'm fine.
Okay, well, welcome in. And what did you say, or are you saying, to the miners and mine supporters there?
Well, basically, the president's coming to West Virginia, and we are going to be respectful. And we do know that the heroin addiction and opioid addiction problem is a huge problem. So we need to be respectful and listen to that. But at the same time, the president needs to hear what his policies are doing to our state, to our communities, to our families in terms of unemployment, hopelessness, frustration, and also, to me, a lack of common sense policies on how we're really going to power this nation. So I think those are two voices that the president needs to hear when he's here in Charleston.
Mm-hmm. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is with us. So do you believe that the president's policies, that this administration's policies, have contributed to the drug problem in West Virginia, and if so, to what degree?
Well, I do think, and I've read several studies recently about the link between drug abuse and unemployment. And there is a link, whether it's hopelessness, whether it's more free time, whether you're hanging out with other unemployed people. There is a link. Your incidence of drug addiction does go up with unemployment, and we're seeing record levels of unemployment here, and it's mostly in the coal fields. So I think, whether it's a direct link or an indirect link, I think they're definitely interconnected.
But you would, go ahead.
Not exclusively, though, Hoppy. I mean, we know that. I mean, I would not say that.
Yeah, because
yeah,
I mean, certainly you would concede, and I would make the point. I think most people would that we had problems. We had economic despair in parts of West Virginia well before the EPA was doing what they were doing, and we have unemployment in lots of places. So it may be a contributing factor. I don't know to what percent, but there's a lot of other stuff going on that has contributed to it.
And I would say that. But unemployment is one of the linkages, and among other things.
Yeah. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is with us. Let's get back to the drug thing, because it is a serious problem. You are among those who's tried to deal with this on a governmental level. What are some of the things that, because government can only do so much, what are some of the things that government can or should do in a public policy front to try to fight this drug war, which we've been fighting for 43 years?
Right. Well, I think we have to have a spectrum of responses. Okay, one of the things I've worked on is to try to cut off the supply coming in through Mexico of heroin and methamphetamine with Senator Joe Donnelly, a Democrat from Indiana. I've also worked with Michael Botticelli, who's the national drug control head of the president's national drug control. He has his eye on Appalachia. I've worked with him to try to expand the high-intensity drug task forces, which you see in northern and southern West Virginia with the U.S. attorneys. We had a great town hall meeting in Martinsburg that I think has really stirred up the need for treatment, because you have to have a spectrum. You can't just cut the supply. You need to treat the problem. I think also we need to look at the prescribing issue, and I think the president's going to talk about that today. We had a meeting in Morgantown where we talked to folks who prescribe pain medicines, what kind of protocols are being taught, what kind of interactions are being looked at. And I've also worked on a veterans issue where I think this opioid prescription and conflicts has led to, unfortunately, us losing our veterans as they've come home and tried to deal with PTSD and other issues.
Mm-hmm. It is, every time I start to take a closer look at this, Senator, it becomes very overwhelming to me because, as I said, President Nixon declared a war on drugs. It might have been 1971 or 72, and here we are in West Virginia 40-plus years later, with 2 deaths every day from drug overdose statistically, with the highest percentage or highest per capita percentage in the country of overdose deaths from prescription drugs. I mean, I get a sense of helplessness, which thankfully you don't have, but do you ever feel that way about this?
I do, because I feel like, almost like you, it's deja vu. But what scares me, Hoppy, is you and I are contemporaries. Heroin was a drug of rock stars and, wild living and people that we didn't even know.
Right.
Heroin is now a choice, unfortunately, of people we do know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's laced with toxic substances. It's caused overdoses and deaths. It hits every spectrum. When we had our meeting in Martinsburg, one of the head of the drug policies for the White House said, "Look around. Do you see a heroin addict?" And everybody's kind of shaking their heads, and they said, "Could be sitting right next to you."
Mm-hmm.
And so I think part of it is shining a light on the problem and realizing how deep it is. And really, there's, to me, to stick a needle in your arm with heroin was always sort of a choice that was somebody else would be making. That's a choice that's being made by too many of our young people, and that's what scares me, and that makes me feel like we can't just put our head in the sand. We have to face it.
Yeah, and you used a key word there. I don't think you meant, but you said choice, and people who work with drug addicts say that when you get to that point, it's not really so much about choice, that it's not just, you can't just sort of decide one day, okay, I'm not going to be an addict anymore, because it changes the chemistry of your brain. It becomes a much, and I'm not letting those folks off, but it becomes a much more complex problem. That is the problem of addiction, and it is not an easy fix. That just one day somebody, I'm not going to do it anymore. I mean, it's not quite that simple. And I know you're not implying that. It just is.
No, I definitely wouldn't imply that. But and I think we need to treat a drug addiction as as much a physical problem. Sometimes it gets just siloed into mental health, and you're talking about the physical addiction issues. So you have to have places for people to dry out. You have to have residential facilities. The one thing that I learned that I didn't realize that Michael Botticelli, who's the drug czar at the White House, points out repeatedly, is a lot of heroin addiction begins with prescription drug abuse. Mm-hmm. And that's your grandmother's medicine cabinet. That's why the National Drug Take Back Days that I just participated in and we just had in September, I think, that's another little bit of the spectrum of solution that we need to go to. Get those old drugs and painkillers off your shelves and have them disposed with correctly.
Do you think, and Senator Shelley Moore Caput is with us, do you think that the drug manufacturers bear any responsibility in this, because they have produced, now granted, these pain medications are very effective when used properly to deal with pain. However, do you think they bear some responsibility in the proliferation of extreme amounts of these drugs in our culture?
I mean, I would have to say yes to that. I think the drug manufacturers are part of that spectrum of solutions. And, we saw the rise in oxycodone early on, like 10 years ago. Yeah. And, I'm mixing my names up, Oxycontin and hydrocodone, about 10 years ago, and started to tighten down. And you see that we've had some success with that. But yes, the drug manufacturers have got to be at the table. They can't just be the profit makers here, and they've got to be part of the solutions. They've got to do good research. They've got to be held accountable by the FDA and by Congress to make sure that they're not creating a problem here in the aim of being a solution to pain medicines. At the same time, there's a lot of people in pain who really benefit from these medications.
Sure. But, and what happens too, and I'm speaking generalities, but people have legitimate pain, they get a legitimate prescription, and then it's very hard to get off. And now like you say, it's not just the junkie on the street, it's your neighbor or, somebody else, my friend or whatever, and now they're addicted to it, and then so it goes on. Let me switch gears real quick before I let you go. And Senator Shelley Moore Caput is with us. Back to the other part today, and that is the president's policies. I suppose there's not going to be any opportunity today. It's just not that kind of event for you or anyone else to say to the president, I wish you could go to Boone County and look at the people whose policies these are affecting, that kind of thing. It's just not that kind of deal, right?
Well, I think that will be he's going to have to hear that message. Certainly, I'm going to be seeing him. I'm certain that I will say something because every time I see him, I do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure he's going to hear that message. I think we need to keep reinforcing it. And then I think we need to receive his message that he's bringing to West Virginia. And as you said in your op-ed that you had the other day, a respectful way, and try to find solutions. Yeah.
Senator Shelley Moore Caput, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good talking to you. So she believes she'll get a chance to say something to the president. But these numbers are, and I wrote about it today at WVMetroNews.com, commentary for today, and I don't have a solution, but what I do is draw attention to the problem. 2010, overdoses, and by the way, overdose deaths, and these can be accidental, they can be suicides, They can even be homicides, which would be few and far between. Most of them are accidental overdose deaths. 2010, 568. 2011, 656. 2012, 558. So they stayed around that level. They went up last year. They went from in 2013, 585 to last year, 628. Again, that's where I get the almost one every 2 days. Almost one every 2 days in West Virginia. And there's been a dramatic rise in heroin-related overdose deaths. 2010, 34. 2014, 165. 2015, so far, 97. Let's go to Charles in Morgantown. Charles, thanks for waiting. Welcome to Talkline. What can you add to this discussion?
Hey, Hoppy. I broke a pinky finger a few years ago. I didn't think it was a big deal, but I had to have surgery. So when it was done, the doctor gave me 6 weeks of OxyContin. He said, go home, do nothing, take these pills.
6 weeks?
Go back to work. 6 weeks, yes, sir.
How about 3 days?
Yeah, how about none? Because I told him, I said, ibuprofen will do for... Anyway, my point is this. It's like everything else. It's about money. Now, let's go back to Percocet. They were fine. So now someone says we need a stronger drug. I don't know the number, but let's just say there's 10 drug manufacturers. Number A, or letter A gets the contract. Well, that's not fair to us because now we can't. So now there's 10 OxyContins on the market. It's the same in life everywhere. Rich people giving people drugs. They're getting hooked on them. And then what's going to happen today is now when you get surgery, what Obama's going to do, I guarantee it, is the good people are not going to be able to get the painkillers. Everything's going to change. And I haven't heard the whole show, but I'm interested in why West Virginia is the place for this. But I think we're making just way too many, painkillers because of profit.
So let me tell you this. Well, I'm a pro-profit guy. I'm a capitalist. However, these numbers are pretty startling. Think about this. In the U.S., I was doing some research yesterday. This is from a lot of different sources. I don't have one particular source here. In the United States, more than 15 million people abuse prescription drugs. 52 million Americans over the age of 12 have used prescription drugs non-medically. 54% of prescription drug users get them free from a friend or relative. What's one else? Oh, here we go. This will blow your mind. The United States makes up 5% of the world's population and consumes 75% of the world's prescription drugs. 5% of the population, 75% of the world's prescription drugs. We're going to take a break and be back. 1-800-765-8255. Email talkline at wvmetronews.com. Tweet me at Hoppy Kercheval. Text me 304-TALK-304. Coming up, Elise Wheel, also Medal of Honor winner. They're going to name a ship after him. Woody Williams. All that in the next half hour. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. It's 11:30. Let's get a news update. Check in with the Metro News Radio Network and find out what's happening statewide this hour, all across the great state of West Virginia.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Shauna Johnson. President Barack Obama will announce several new federal steps to address opioid abuse during a stop this afternoon in West Virginia's capital city. About 150 people either working with or affected by substance abuse have been invited to a forum in Charleston that Michael Botticelli, the White House's Director of National Drug Control Policy, will moderate. Live coverage of that presidential forum begins at 1:30 this afternoon here on the Metro News Radio Network. At the state capitol this hour, Cole supporters are rallying ahead of the president's arrival.
I would hope he would be a man of moral character and understand of what we're saying. We have no choice but to say it. How he reacts, it's entirely up to him.
Roger Horton is with Citizens for Cole. There's a new president at Marshall University.
His name is Dr. Jerome Gilbert, the former provost and executive vice president of Mississippi State University. An announcement was made Tuesday about his decision to accept an offer made by the university's Board of Governors. Marshall Vice President of Communications Ginny Painter says they've heard nothing but great things about Dr. Gilbert coming to West Virginia.
The folks in Mississippi have been so gracious today to let us know that
their losses and our gains.
Painter says Dr. Gilbert plans to take successful initiatives that began with the late President Dr. Stephen Kopp and offer new insights that he brings from his work at Mississippi State.
That's Carrie Hudasek. You're listening to Metro News for 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
A study from England shows that men spend more time each day looking at themselves than women. Well, believe that study or not, the point is we all want to look our best all the time. Well, the same holds true for businesses. We judge businesses, in fact, by their look. At Pikewood Creative, we produce videos and commercials that make businesses look their very best. And you know what? It improves their business. They get more customers and clients. If you'd like your business to look better, then check us out at pikewoodcreative.com.
It's getting harder to make ends meet, and when you can't keep food on the table, it's pretty devastating. There is assistance, but applications can be confusing. Catholic Charities West Virginia is making it easier by helping families learn about and enroll in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, so they can get the healthy foods they need. Call 844-292-3217 to learn more, because if one person is going hungry, that's one too many. Catholic Charities West Virginia is an equal opportunity employer and service provider, funded in part by USDA and the Walmart Foundation.
The prosecuting attorney in Fayette County says he's hoping for an expedited hearing on the lawsuit filed on Fayette County's behalf against the State School Building Authority.
Hopefully we can get an emergency hearing on our petition here within the next week or so.
Larry Harris says the legal filing was necessary after the State School Building Authority outright rejected Fayette County's latest school plan. Morgantown is the 5th city in West Virginia to add a user fee. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Shauna Johnson.
Talkline on Metro News. Welcome back. Let's go to Kanawha County Commissioner Ken Carper. Commissioner, I don't know if you get to see the president today, but if you do, what are you going to say?
Actually, I do get to see the president today. I received a call from the White House last Friday.
Congratulations.
And awesome. How in the world I made the list, I have no idea.
Because you're Ken Carper. What are you going to say to him?
Well, I'm going to listen. If something comes up, I mean, there's all these numbers, there's all these statistics, but if I had an opportunity to tell the president, I would tell him, I think the real statistic is that we've already lost one generation. We've just about lost a whole generation to addiction. We're headed to the second one. I mean, when 1 out of 10 babies is being born with drug problems, I mean, it's beyond a catastrophe. And it's just, I don't know what the president will say. I don't know exactly why he's coming here. I've had a little bit of briefing on it, but I'm very, very disappointed in people that want to talk about everything else but the fact that it's an honor to have the President of the United States come to our community.
Well,
it's an honor. It's a significant honor.
It is, and I have said that, and it is. But I think, but I think a lot of reasonable people have also said that you cannot, you're always welcome here. It is appropriate that you would come here and talk about substance abuse, but it is undeniable that some of your policies have contributed to our economic headwinds. It's inescapable. So
I think so, and I just don't know if the two. I read a very touching comment from a person on social media. I'm going to send it to you.
All right.
That her sister is in jail. They've lost members of their family to drug addiction. She had a very thoughtful insight, probably more than most of us. I think it is just inappropriate when the President of the United States, when President Bush came here twice, I went up to the airport and stood as a proud Kanawha County and a proud Charlestonian and a proud West Virginian, respect the office. But this is such a terrible, terrible problem. And for those of us that really appreciate how bad it is, I don't know what will come out of his trip, but I hope something good.
Well, I think that I've looked at some of the what he's going to announce, and it's pretty modest stuff. I mean, it's stuff he has control over concerning federal agencies. So, but more than anything, I mean, I think it highlights. I mean, we're talking about it. We've talked about it for the last several days. So it raises awareness, whatever the value of that is, but it has to be something. But I tell you, looking at those stats yesterday, Ken, it blew my mind when I thought that twice as many people in West Virginia this year will die from drug overdose as car accidents. Twice as many.
That's true. And those of us that have really been involved in this, in Kanawha County, for example, our commission appropriated $250,000 just to give police money to deal with the heroin problem. We did that 2 years ago. I mean, we saw how bad it was, and I don't think we were able to really appreciate how bad it was going to be and is.
It's bad now.
You know, we are in danger of losing a second generation to addiction, and that's the alarming thing.
Yeah, I got to leave it there. Kanawha County Commissioner Ken Carper. Commissioner, thanks for coming on. You're always welcome. I appreciate that. Let's go to Lise Wheel, Fox News legal analyst. 5 quick minutes with Lise Wheel. Lise, good morning.
Good morning.
So, a Maine high school principal says you can't have dances except if it's going to be a classy dance because of the modern dance culture. Oh, these kids today. So
kids today, and the MTV, and he calls it the VHS.
The VHS crowd,
right.
Instead of VH1. So, is there a legal issue here, canceling the dances?
There is, because, I mean, well, first of all, let's go into it. He sends the parents a letter describing grinding to a point where I would not, as a parent, want to see that in my mailbox from the principal. But then, yes, he goes on to ban it. So parents are up in arms, kids are up in arms. Can they sue to make the, to have the prom back on, the dancing back on? The short answer is probably no. But the longer answer is this has just gotten so silly, where principals and administrators are so worried about lawsuits that they won't have a dance because they're worried about grinding. Okay, here's the thing. Note to principal, what will happen is these kids will say, "Banana you, principal, we're going to go out and have our own grinding party in a private place, and you can't do anything about it." Versus back in the day when I was, in dark ages in high school, if someone came up and was inappropriate at a dance or whatever, a chaperone, usually a mom or dad, would say, kiddo, that's not right. You gotta go home for a while. So not this guy though.
Yeah, but again, in our, no offense, litigious society, if
Totally.
Johnny and Susan are there and they're grinding, and the principal throws them out of the dance, and then their parents say, "We're suing because they were denied their right to dance."
Right.
Yeah, so anyway. All right. A family has filed suit over concussions. Is it La Jolla High School?
La Jolla High School in San Diego,
Okay,
yes,
what's the story there?
The story there is that as a kid, a junior in high school, last October, "Coach, there's something not right with me." That's what he said, apparently. That's his language. And then the coach says, apparently, "I don't have time for this now," and puts the kid back in where he gets hurt again. So neurosurgeons have said, look, it's bad to get hurt, concussions, anytime in life, certainly when you're playing pro football. But if you're in high school, it's worse because your brain isn't quite, fully formed, all of that. So it's really pretty ugly. It's really pretty ugly. And San Diego is not the only place. Illinois has filed a class action lawsuit against the state. And what I predict is with these lawsuits coming out again and again and again, there are going to be people, in schools saying, "You know what? We can't afford these settlements.
Yeah.
We just won't have high school football."
You think that's coming?
I see that happening.
You think that's coming? Yeah.
I see that happening.
Okay.
I think it's really sad.
Yeah.
Some of my best times, when I was growing up, certainly in high school, we were going to football games. My son, watching the baseball games. But if you get sued again and again and again, you can't afford it.
Fox News legal analyst Lise Wheel. Topic number 3. A 13-year-old boy was told to change his T-shirt or face discipline at school. The school featured what is recognized as the battlefield cross of fallen soldiers. School administrators say the imagery is not appropriate in light of recent shootings. Who's right here?
Well, the kid's right. I mean, look, he's wearing a shirt that's got a rifle with boots and helmets. It's meant to really celebrate men and women who are in service. His brother is in the Marines right now, so he's a kid. He's not out there trying to,
he's not inciting.
Let's go be violent. No, not at all. It's exactly the opposite. He's saying, let's honor the people who are there fighting for us for our freedoms. And for him just to be kicked out because of that, we're losing, the forest or the trees or whatever the expression is. We're losing it because really going after this kid who's a good kid, trying to honor our service people, and he gets suspended or could be suspended because that's wrong.
Well, not
wrong,
only
wrong,
that,
wrong.
at least we end up with these zero tolerance policies. That's what happens, A, and B, as we know, the First Amendment does not stop at the schoolhouse door.
It does not. And zero tolerance, I mean, it works sometimes, but sometimes, hey, administrators out there, use your common sense. That's what you're paid for. Don't worry so much about the lawyers. Use your common sense.
Fox News legal analyst Lise Wheel, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You guys have a great day.
You too. Talk to you soon. We'll be back.
At MVB Bank, we try to pique your interest. So listen up. With our most valuable checking with interest account, you'll earn high interest on your transactions with no monthly fees and nationwide ATM refunds when qualifications are met. With our MVB app and mobile deposit, that's just the beginning. MVB most valuable checking with interest. Now that's highly interesting. Open an account online today at mvbbanking.com or visit one of our convenient local branches. MVB, your financial life made easy. Member FDIC.
The West Virginia Mountaineers return to action Thursday night, October 29th in Texas. Join the MetroNews Game Day crew as they cover WVU's primetime matchup with the TCU Horned Frogs. Pre-game coverage starts at 4:30 with the Jeep Gold and Blue Countdown, followed by the Sports Brunch. Game line kicks off at 7:30. At 10:30, post-game analysis begins on the Gold and Blue Wrap-Up, presented by the West Virginia Oil and Natural Gas Association, followed by the Point After. Don't miss game day coverage at its best here on MetroNews.
Come on, man, we're gonna be late. We need to leave.
Yeah, we need to hurry. Let's go.
Please slow down. You are entering a work zone.
Oh man, they're working on the road. We're not gonna make it.
You are approaching a work zone. Please slow down.
What is that?
It's just the GPS. Don't pay attention to it.
Slow down, slow down, slow down.
When you speed in a work zone, you are endangering your life and the lives of others. Slow down. It's the law.
Be a smart driver. Don't speed in work zones.
The safety message from the West Virginia Department of Transportation Division of Highways, saving one life at a time.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi. If you're in a business or organization that needs visual help, then let's get together and talk. For more than a decade now, those of us at Pikewood Creative have embraced the opportunity to help people just like you tell their story visually. Whether it's a video, commercial, animation, or motion graphics piece, we produce content that make others take notice. We help people increase their business and organizations better tell their story. If you need help, then contact us at pikewoodcreative.com.
This is Talkline on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
When we made the Jeep Cherokee, we didn't stop at a stunning interior, or at advanced technologies, or stop at that gas station, or from going over bumps, or rocks, or through rivers. Let's just say we couldn't stop ourselves. One drive and you'll discover why the Jeep brand continues to be the best-selling SUV brand. Join us now during the Jeep Drive and Discover event.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's a lot easier when you have it on before you get pulled over. Click it or ticket.
Council.
Talkline on MetroNews. Talkline presented by MVB Bank, your most valuable bank, member FDIC. It is a great honor to welcome our next guest. I cross paths with him periodically, and I just don't get enough time to sit and chat with him. But he is a Quiet Dell, Fairmont, West Virginia native, lives now in the Huntington area, and he is a surviving Medal of Honor winner. He has received every honor available, I think, to most veterans, and they are all appropriate. Herschel Woody Williams, winning World War II, fought the Japanese in the Pacific. He was at Guam. He was at Guadalcanal. He was at Iwo, won a Medal of Honor for his actions at Iwo Jima. He was there. I understand he didn't witness it, but he was there when they raised the U.S. flag over Mount Suribachi. And one more honor for Woody. They're going to name a ship after Woody Williams, and he joins us on MetroNews Talkline. Woody, good morning. How you been?
Good morning, Hoppy.
By the way, happy 92nd birthday to you.
Well, thank you very much.
From earlier this month. And you sound like $1 million. How do you feel?
Well, I feel like $1 million, about maybe $1.5 million.
There you go. There you go. So what is your reaction to, and Senator Manchin released yesterday, to a naval ship being named after you?
Well, I have said before, and I'll repeat it because it is very meaningful to me, at least. I am extremely humbled that Secretary Mabus and my country would think me worthy to have a ship with my name on it. It is, I guess, a dream. This program was started in 1997 by a Marine by the name of Ron Robleski here in Huntington. He was determined that he was going to get a ship with my name on it. He got about 70,000 signatures, forms, letters, everything else from all 48 states at that time, and sent those to the office of the Secretary of Navy over a period of about 10 years. And it sort of died down, most of us thinking, well, it is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made a trip to Iwo Jima in March, and at that point in time, Secretary Mabus was also on Iwo at that 70th anniversary. And my grandson, Brent Casey, had an opportunity to spend a few seconds with him and mentioned this program. And then Brent came back and went to Senator Manchin's office and asked him if he would get involved. And so it then became alive again. And Senator Manchin got involved, contacted the secretary, and eventually it came to fruition.
So is it already done, or are you going to go to a ceremony? How's it going to happen?
It is already done. I am the fourth person to receive to have a ship in their name. It's called an expeditionary sea-based vessel that carries Marines and Marine helicopters to shore. And I am the fourth. The first one was for the Montfort Marines. The second one was for John Glenn, a Marine. And the third was for Chesty Puller, the icon of the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth one will have my name on it.
Well, you have to go see it. You have to go get on it and ride it, right? Don't you? Are you going to go?
I don't think it's been constructed yet. I think it's in the form.
Okay. Well, that's okay.
Eventually, we will have a ceremony at the Capitol here in West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And the Secretary of Navy, Mabus, will come here, and they will make the official presentation, designation, or whatever they do at that point.
Yeah.
And that is those dates have not been set yet.
Yeah, well,
that will take place in the Capitol.
That's outstanding. Woody Williams is with us. Herschel Woody Williams, Medal of Honor winner, West Virginia native, and they're going to name a ship after him, a Marine veteran and winner of the Medal of Honor. So you went back to Iwo. What was that like? What kind of emotions did you have going back to Iwo Jima?
There were some very definite emotions, some high and some low. But I had said for all the many years since we gave the island back to Japan, I would not go back. I felt that we should have kept it and made it into a place where thousands of Americans would have an opportunity to freely visit. That isn't true today.
Mm-hmm.
And So I said I would never go back. But grandsons can talk Grandpa into doing things that he probably wouldn't do otherwise. So I had a couple grandsons and a great-grandson that we went back for the 70th anniversary of the securing of Iwo Jima.
Were you able to go to any of the places where the fighting, of course, fighting took place all over the island, but that you recognized 70 years later?
No. It is completely changed. When we were there wasn't a green place on it, and it was just blowing all to smithereens because we had bombed it for 130 days before we got there and then continued to tear it up after we got there. Now it's all green, so you can't tell contour of land or anything of that nature. Of course, I have said the beach looked a little familiar because the sand is now, I know for sure, 70 years old because it's the same sand that was there when I was there.
Well, Woody, we're really pleased that this honor is being bestowed on you, this naval vessel to be named after you. And the people toss around hero all the time, but you're a hero and you're a great American. We're proud of you again in West Virginia, and it's always good to talk to you, Woody.
Thank you, Hobby. I would never correct a professional. I wouldn't dare do that. But I would like to suggest to you that the Medal of Honor is not awarded because you are a winner. It's awarded because it was earned, and of the 3,590 that have been awarded in our country, all of those were earned, and we didn't have any competition. I didn't have any guys out there competing with me, like in a ball game.
Yeah.
So please call us recipients because we wouldn't have it if other persons had not been willing to sacrifice to make it possible.
Woody, that's well said. Duly noted. I stand corrected, and I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take good care.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right. Woody Williams, recipient of the Medal of Honor. They're going to name a ship after him. And I think last time I talked to Woody, I made that same mistake. I got to get caught up on that. Congratulations to Woody Williams, recipient of the Medal of Honor, and he will have a ship named after him. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Have you ever wondered just who are the Friends of Coal? Well, there are 50,000 West Virginia families who support the state's coal industry, and they look a lot like you. Honest, hardworking, good neighbors who want a future for themselves and their state. They're coal miners, housewives, school teachers, mechanics, doctors, college professors, pizza delivery guys, your friends. The Friends of Coal know and understand the importance of the coal industry to our state's economy. They know about the 60,000 jobs the coal industry creates in our state. They know about the $25 billion the industry pumps into our economy. And they know that without coal, our state would face an economic catastrophe. Come to think of it, that sounds like most West Virginians. Let Congress know you are a proud West Virginian, and you are a friend of coal.
Coal is West Virginia.
True to its motto, wild and wonderful, West Virginia is the third most forested state in the country for landmass and has 7 million more forested acres now than 100 years ago. The mountain state is abundantly blessed with valuable renewable forest resources, which naturally regenerate for future generations. Forestry is the basis for over 5,000 separate wood and paper products, creating millions of dollars in state revenue from business income and property taxes. A message from the West Virginia Forestry Association, WVFA.org.
Thursday nights on MetroNews, it's Mountain East Conference football. This Thursday, the Notre Dame Falcons visit the West Liberty Hilltoppers, and MetroNews brings you all the action. Join Travis Jones and Rasheed Marshall for the call of the game starting at 7 p.m. Don't miss Division II football at its best as the Falcons take on the Hilltoppers on Mountain East Conference Thursday night football from MetroNews and WVMetroNews.com.
There it is! There it is! Go!
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
When we made the Jeep Cherokee, we didn't stop at a stunning interior, or at advanced technologies, or stop at that gas station, or from going over bumps, or rocks, or through rivers. Let's just say we couldn't stop ourselves. One drive and you'll discover why the Jeep brand continues to be the best-selling SUV brand. Join us now during the Jeep Drive and Discover event.
At MVB Bank, we have one simple objective: to give you the very best of everything you could possibly want and need in a bank. That's it. We believe most people just want a really great bank with top-notch products like checking with cash back, nationwide ATM fee refunds, great CD and car loan rates, and more. Together with our awesome team and the convenience of state-of-the-art technology they can count on. It's no extra fluff, just good, honest banking. We're MVB Bank, your most valuable bank. Member FDIC.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest, because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's a lot easier when you have it on before you get pulled over. Click it or ticket.
Cancel.
Here in West Virginia, there are 2 great jackpot games you can play from the West Virginia Lottery. Powerball has drawings on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Mega Millions, jackpot drawings Tuesdays and Fridays. The Powerball jackpot is $90 million. The Mega Millions jackpot, $105 million. Always play responsibly. I keep thinking we're about past peak on the fall colors, but I don't think so. I went for a walk yesterday with my wife. It was gorgeous. So if you want to know where the best fall foliage is now, pick up your fall foliage guide from the state of West Virginia. You can call 1-800-CALL-WVA, 1-800-CALL-WVA, or stop by 90 McCorkle Avenue in South Charleston to pick up your guide, or go to one of the Welcome Centers in West Virginia. The Welcome Centers have the fall foliage guide. And take a picture of beautiful fall foliage. We have some great scenes in West Virginia, and post them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with the hashtag GoToWV or hashtag FallInWV. Hi, Steve in Clarksburg. Steve, go ahead.
Hey, listen, first of all, I consider myself a strong union man and not an Obama supporter, but your show today has really sickened me that you've let the Obama bashing go on rather than talk about the issue that he's here. West Virginia has over 60,000 addicts and over 750 beds, and only 750 beds. And that should be the topic of discussion. If the unions really wanted to talk about something, they should be talking about creating jobs for that industry rather than dealing with what's already happening. And it just sickens me that nobody's talking about the real issue here.
You get the last word of the day. I do want to point out, though, that that's how we started the show and spent several interviews on the addiction issue. But nevertheless, you do get the last word. Appreciate your call. We'll regroup tomorrow morning at 10:06. I'm Hoppy Kercheval. This has been Talkline on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.